In this video, we're going to focus on zoysia grass. We're going to talk about spring tips for your zoysia grass lawn, talk about mowing the grass, talk about watering the grass, and talk about what we need to do from a weed control and fertilization standpoint to give your grass the best chance to look good, not only in the spring, but throughout the year. And I want to do it in a way where we're comparing it with what we would do with Bermuda grass. Zoysia and Bermuda, many times you can do very similar things from a weed control and fertilization standpoint to a zoysia lawn as you can to a Bermuda lawn, but it's not exactly the same. There's definitely some differences in those grass types. I hope by the end of the video you're going to have a very clear plan and know what to do to your zoysia lawn. Today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. You see my 400-gallon spray rig on the back of my truck. I run a weed control and fertilization business, have for a long time, and I use this Graham spray rig to do a lot of my applications. If you need a spray rig for your business, go to grahamse.com or give those guys a call. I have a mostly Bermuda grass lawn, but I do have some zoysia. Let me show you what the zoysia looks like. At the time I'm filming this is early March, so we're still mostly dormant, but it's starting to turn green. At the time I'm filming this is early March, so it's still mostly dormant around here, but it's starting to turn green. It won't be long before the lawn greens up. So you can see wide open out there with full sun. We got plenty of Bermuda grass. But what I did with the zoysia, and some people may not agree with this, you see the little difference here. It's actually a little greener on the zoysia. So I put some zoysia. To get closer to the house and less sunlight, I put a line of zoysia. One of the reasons I did that, I find that the zoysia makes a nice clean edge better than Bermuda on a flower bed. But there's also areas where we had some trees here, and I could have just did a flower bed area or natural area under these trees, but I said, well, you know what, let's go with some grass. So you can see here where the Bermuda is thinning out, thinning out, thinning out, and then where we put the zoysia, we had a huge rain, so that's all these clippings washed up in here, all this debris. But the zoysia is much more shade tolerant than the Bermuda. A couple of the shade tolerant varieties in my area are the emerald zoysia and the Zorro zoysia. I can't actually tell them apart. Look now, I believe I have the Zorro zoysia here. I live in Alabama, and so a lot of the time frames I'm saying are going to be dependent on where I live. So if you live further north and it's colder, then you can adjust the time frame. Further south it's warmer, then you can obviously adjust. And knowing that every year is not the same. Some years it warms up quicker. But one of the things you need to do on your zoysia lawn before spring typically is go ahead and get that pre-emergent down. So in that situation, I'm using 24 ounces per acre of prodiamine, the liquid kind, the 4FL. That is half the annual max rate. Now I would do the exact same thing on a Bermuda yard. Where I live, I think February is a great time to do that. Crabgrass germinates typically when the soil temperatures reach 55 degrees, so I'm told. So we want to make sure we have that prodiamine down and water it in before that happens. Now, one of the big advantages of a zoysia lawn compared to a Bermuda grass lawn is it doesn't get near as many weeds, so it's probably not going to have near the crabgrass pressure. I've seen some zoysia yards that are so thick and have almost no weeds in it, and I don't think they're on any kind of weed control and fertilization program. So in theory, if you did skip that, you're probably not going to be just covered in crabgrass. But zoysia does get crabgrass. Again, nothing like a Bermuda yard, but I would still recommend getting that prodiamine application down before the crabgrass germinates. And what I tell people is, if you're late on that, you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I didn't do that. Well, if I had a zoysia lawn and you don't have a crabgrass problem in the past, I probably just wouldn't worry about it. But if you are concerned about crabgrass, what I'll do is I'll take the prodiamine and I'll add quinclorac to it. The rate on that is 64 ounces per acre, and that is a crabgrass post-emergent. Or you could switch over and use dimension instead of prodiamine, and then don't worry about the quinclorac. So those are a couple options if you think, hey, I want to do this application, I'm concerned about crabgrass, but I know I'm late. The prodiamine would be the recommended option if you got it down before the crabgrass germinates. If it's already, late March, April, again, depending on where you live, then you may want to add that quinclorac in there, or switch over and use dimension. But if you've got a thick, healthy zoysia lawn that never gets crabgrass, you might just don't worry about it this year and try again next year. Now, a lot of times in that situation, I'm mixing in there some type of post-emergent on that first application. I use one called Triplet. There's Change Up's a product I talk about a lot. But as we get to spring specifically, what am I doing to the lawns? I'm gonna show you the two products I'm putting out. I don't know when you're watching this video, but if you're watching it and it's still early in the year like my grass, this is what I'm doing right now. Before the grass really turns very much green, I'm using Dismiss and Manor. I'm using Dismiss at 12 ounces per acre. I'm using Manor at 1/4 ounce per acre. The reason I do that now, I'm trying to kill off any broadleaf weeds. I'm also trying to get ahead of sedges and give some suppression to the sedges problem, which is typically a problem with Bermuda and Zoysia lawns. More so Bermuda, but still Zoysia lawns can get a lot of sedges as well. And I'm trying to do it early enough not to cause any discoloration to the turf, so that's why I do it early instead of later. One thing I do tell people is don't use Dismiss on a ride-on spreader sprayer early in the morning with dew on the ground when the grass is green. I know there's a lot of caveats there, but it can leave brown tire tracks when you spray it early in the morning with a ride-on spreader sprayer. I haven't had that problem using my big gram spray rig. See this, you say, I really don't have much of a nut sedge problem. You may not want to do that as well. The other thing you can do, and I've done this in the past, and I've used this, I know it's upside down, it's a 2-2-14 blend from Harold, so a real low nitrogen blend there just to kind of give the grass some nutrients to get it going. And I do this before coming back with a heavier application of fertilizer that I'm going to mention later on in the video. One thing about using metsulfuron, which I mentioned, it's great for the wild onions. So a lot of times you can see here, even in this part of Zoysia, there's onions or garlic that are popping up. It may not knock them out right away, but you should have less that come back the following year. One other big problem weed you may have in your Zoysia lawn is this weed right here, Poa annua. And it's a terrible weed. You can see how it's just all this green right here is Poa annua, just about all of it. If you're watching this and it's starting to warm up, I may not even worry about this. Just let the heat kill it out and try to get ahead of it next year with a fall application of Spectacle Flow, or use what I did this year, the Spectacle Flow and Celsius seem to work great as far as keeping the Poa out of the lawn. I want to try to control it earlier would have been better. Now that it's mature, it's more difficult to control. Tribute Total or Revolver, a couple products you could use. But if you're watching this in the spring, I'd probably let the heat kill it and just don't worry about it. And I know by doing that, it may be putting out more seeds in the ground, but just understand that it's probably going to be very challenging for you to control mature Poa in the lawn. At this point, when you spray it, now you have a yellow dying weed in the yard that might not be completely dead, and to me the yellow dying weed looks worse than a green weed that would have been mowed. One difference in the Bermuda and the Zoysia lawns is the Zoysia, sometimes especially this Emerald Zoysia or Zorro Zoysia and other ones as well, but they can grow very, very thick, and sometimes people are mowing them 4 inches tall. It honestly becomes very difficult to mow. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. This may be the time that you're going to try to get it down. Now, I don't think you can just go in there and scalp a Zoysia lawn necessarily like you can a Bermuda lawn, but you might could take it down a little bit early in the year, and it may slow it from greening up. But I don't know of a better time to do it. And doing a dethatcher or a scarifier, I've seen these on Amazon, these electrical ones, I've used them before. And one of the differences is that Zoysia grass, the thatch is a lot woodier material is the way I understand it, so it doesn't break down nearly as quickly. And so it can build up thatch and create problems with your Zoysia lawn. Where Bermuda, it doesn't grow as thick for one, and then that grass breaks down a lot faster, especially during the summer months. So in the springtime might be a good idea if you have one of these, they're usually $100-something. If you have one of these electric dethatchers on Amazon, you can go out there and dethatch the lawn and get rid of a lot of that. And it could be like a once a year thing that you do. If you want to do a more aggressive with it, some of them come with a scarifying attachment, and that's where you're actually sort of digging down into the roots a little bit and really loosening up the soil and things. That would be a little bit more extreme measure. But if it's gotten super, super thick and you got a thatch problem, that's one thing you can do. We start moving further in the spring, we're going to think about fertilizing the lawn. I've been using a 3806 blend, 38-0-6 blend, 38% nitrogen, putting it out around 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Now I get mine from Harold's, which I showed on the bag earlier, but you could go somewhere else and buy a slow release blend that's high nitrogen and try to put it out at 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Now you can do a little bit of math there. If it's a 3806, that first number is your nitrogen. It means it's 38% nitrogen in a bag. It's a 50-pound bag, so that means cut that number in half, you get 19 pounds of nitrogen in that bag. So if I put that out at, let's say on a 10,000 square foot yard, I use one bag, I would be at 1.9 pounds of nitrogen per per 1,000 square feet. Does that make sense? Hope the math makes sense on that. The key here is if you're using a quick release fertilizer, wait till we get warmer weather and the grass is actually growing before doing that, so you're not just wasting the nutrients. If you do as a slow release fertilizer, you can do it a little bit earlier, but I would wait for April or May before I make that application. If you're using a quick release fertilizer, it's not going to last near as long. I can put out that slow release fertilizer from Harold's, the Polyon, and literally fertilize it one time. It lasts the whole growing season. So depending on what product you're using, what rate you're applying it at, you may have to apply multiple times, but you can start when that grass starts greening up and is actively growing. Of course, with spring, you're going to have a lot of weeds. I talk about things that you can go around spot treating weeds with. I use Celsius and Certainty combination a lot. Another product that is similar is called Southpaw. It's got the same active ingredient as Certainty, and also would control broadleaf weeds as well. So if you just wanted one product like that, you can walk around and spot treat your broadleaf weeds, your sedges, or even your grassy clumps that are popping up in your zoysia lawn. Now, as we get later in the spring, I think it's time to start thinking about insects, and this is one thing to mention about your zoysia lawns. They are not as drought tolerant as the Bermuda grass. In my area, they seem like they get hit worse, at least a couple years ago, with chinch bugs. Now, the good thing is they don't get hit nearly as bad with armyworms. Armyworms seem to greatly prefer Bermuda grass. Use a product under the trade name Merit, which has the chemical in it, imidacloprid. And putting that down around the May or June time frame is a good time to apply that to control the grubs in the lawn. Last year, I was using a product called Dorentis, and that can control the grubs as well as give you some protection from the armyworms and even some suppression on the chinch bugs, and I was using that on Bermuda and the zoysia lawns. If you want to go after the chinch bugs, you can make an application in May or June with bifenthrin, which comes under the trade name Talstar. There's some generic versions as well. Now, why is that important? Well, let's talk about the grubs. One, they're underground. I still remember this yard. I've got the visual image, a nice zoysia lawn I take care of. Seeing it was more impactful than hearing about it on a video. But it was almost like brand new sod had been laid there on the ground. In the late summer, I could just go and just pull up the grass. I mean, it was just laying there with almost no roots and had grub damage. And the point I wanted to mention, the difference here in the Bermuda and zoysia, whether you get grub damage or chinch bug damage, it's much, much slower to recover than Bermuda grass. So a heavily damaged chinch bug yard, and I know of a neighborhood right up the road from me that got hammered with chinch bugs 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago now, I guess. And those yards still look bad, and it's been that long. Now, same thing when you have drought damage. They can be very, very slow to recover. So it's very important to stay on top of these things with a zoysia lawn. Now, chinch bugs tend to be more of a problem out in the sunnier areas of the lawn. So if you have a fairly shaded zoysia lawn, it's typically not going to be as much of a problem. Now, when it comes to watering, in my area, the spring times typically our wettest season, or seems like it is in the grass. So I don't recommend turning on the irrigation for getting plenty of rain. Seems like it can lead to fungus issues, more nut sedge, a lot of problems for running the irrigation too much. But of course, as it gets hot, maybe starting in May, run that irrigation, give it a good deep soaking once a week, early in the morning, maybe 25, 30 minutes per zone. That's what I typically recommend in my area. That could vary region to region. Of course, vary depending on how much rain we're getting that particular year. One more tip on the zoysia grass I think is very important, and I have a story to share about this. Oftentimes people put out sod in the fall or in the spring, at least in my area. So what I tell people is if you sod it in the spring, let's just say, I think it's a great time to put out your zoysia sod. But at that point, I probably wouldn't do anything to it until the fall. My goal at that point is just to water it. I just want to keep it alive, water it. I mean, maybe if you want to go in there and spot treat some weeds, I don't want to do any kind of pre-emergent herbicide application on that zoysia lawn until the fall. And even in the fall, I want to see how it's looking. Sometimes there's a big difference in somebody that had their zoysia lawn sodded in the spring, hard compacted soil, and didn't water it. And by the fall, you can still see the lines where the sod was laid, versus another guy I know had that done last year. He watered it like crazy, and his yard looked unbelievable. So it depends on how well the yard is taken care of on that application. But if you did it in the fall, put out your zoysia. I went to one just the other day, actually yesterday, I went to this lawn, The customer called me last fall. He said, hey, I got brand new Zoysia sod. Why don't you give you a quote? I go out there and give a quote. He said, yeah, that sounds great. I said, hey, your sod is new, is Zoysia. I said, I'm not going to spray any kind of pre-emergent on it. The main goal for your Zoysia is just to get it rooted and start looking healthy. So I said, I'm going to check back on it in the spring and just kind of keep my eye on it as I come through your neighborhood, and then we'll go from there. He said, okay, sounds good. So I'm making a note by his account on my schedule, has his name. I have a note there that says check in spring. So yesterday, it's early March, not even officially spring yet. I go by, look at it. He's got a sign in his yard from a competitor, one of the big, franchise competitors. And so I call him. I said, hey, just checking in. I saw you had that sign from the other competitor. I said, do you want them to take care of the yard? And I was a little frustrated. I was just like, what's going on, man? You told me you want me to do it, which is fine if you want somebody else to do it. But anyway, he has a sign in there from the competitor. He says, oh yeah, I forgot about you. He said, they come by, they just gave me a great deal, man. Well, I'm sitting there looking at his sod. You still see the lines between it. And if they went in there and just kind of spot treated the broadleaf weeds coming up in the cracks, that's probably fine. If they went in there and blanketed it with a pre-emergent, then I think it's going to affect his rooting of that Zoysia sod. But that's on him and on the company if that's what they did. Maybe they didn't. But anyway, I don't personally, if you can still see the lines in the sod, then I don't want to go out there and spray or even fertilize. Typically the rule of thumb is don't do any of that until it's been mowed twice. So once it starts growing the leaves upward, that means it's probably already grown some roots. But just saying that, Zoysia can be very, very slow to get established. So if I laid sod in the spring, I'm probably not doing much of anything to it until the fall, maybe not even then. If I laid sod in the fall, I'm most likely not going to do a pre-emergent application in January. You may end up with a little bit more weed pressure, but that's better than affecting the whole rooting of your investment you put into that sod. I hope this video is helpful for you. Leave some comments below if you have something I left out, something needs corrected. I do misspeak sometimes as I go back and watch the video. I'm like, that's not what I meant to say. I run a weed control and fertilization business. If you want to get in weed control and fertilization like me, you can go to lawncarelife.com. There's resources over there, coaching calls. You can come ride with me for the day. You can get the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy, which is a course for those with warm season grasses that don't want to mow grass anymore and want to start doing the weed control and fertilization, which is what I do. I'm going to have pop up on your screen right now the full video with spring tips for Bermuda grass if you want to watch that. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.